hello everyone. My name is Hope Newport. I'm the Family Services Manager at the IFOPA, and this is week 3 of our FOP Pain Management series. And today we are focusing on alternative or complementary approaches. And one thing I wanted to distinguish is that those things can be the same but different. So alternative approaches are something that you do in place of traditional medicine, whereas a complementary approach is something that you do in addition to traditional medicine. So, it just depends on how you're using the maybe non-traditional techniques that you're exploring. But today we are going to be focusing on aromatherapy and life coaching. So I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our 2023 IFOPA Family Services Programming supporter, BioChris, for helping make this series possible. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. So Elena Pomana is joining us. She is a member of the FOP community who is from Romania, and she is a holistic coach and therapist. She is a master practitioner in hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, and timeline therapy. And recently she has some exciting news that she's also a psychotherapist in training. So congratulations, Elena, on that. And as a holistic coach, she has expertise in psychology, spirituality, and neuroscience, and has been studying and researching for over 10 years how to achieve holistic health within the framework of the FOP diagnosis. So as someone who has been diagnosed with FOP, Elena has dedicated her time and energy to combining various therapies that have brought astonishing results in managing pain and the consequences of FOP. So with that, I am going to stop one screen share and start another. So Elena has pre-recorded her talk today so that we could just make sure to have it in English for everyone ahead of time.
A big hug from Romania. I'm Elena Pomana, holistic coach and creator of the Vital Method with expertise in psychology, spirituality, and neuroscience. It is a joy to be with you today here. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm grateful to the entire FOP team who supports our community with such warmth and love. In this webinar, we will cover a method with amazing results in managing the pain and the consequences of FOP. I confess to you that I have been living with this diagnosis since I was 1 year old, and for 15 years I have been studying and experimenting on how to act and achieve holistic health. Due to the fact that medicine has made incredible advances in recent times, things that once we considered impossible now are becoming a reality. Consequently, there are many different therapeutic options available that can help us improve our quality of life. I know that pain is a challenge, and it's something that limits our daily activities. A quote says, "You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it." And this shows us that we have the power to choose. And this stimulates our curiosity. What do you choose when you are faced with pain? What do you choose to feel? Anger, fear, indifference, curiosity. Why am I asking you? Because I know what it's like to get angry. I know what it's like to be discouraged and to go through countless internal struggles looking for ways to relieve your symptoms. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. My story and the most effective alternative method. I've just discovered it and how I discovered it with amazing results. You'll learn how you can achieve holistic health where you can begin your own journey to wellness. One thing I want to know from the start: nothing happens by accident in life. So, long story short, what I felt, what I did, how I discovered the method. In 2020, I was feeling I was a ticking time bomb, and I needed to find the code to be able to defuse the bomb. Endometriosis, fibrotus uterus, ulcerative gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, insomnia, FOB, quite an explosive combination. And the only possibility was surgery to be able to balance myself. But as you all know, a surgical intervention produces a real pain for FOP patients. Risks are there. And I didn't want to take them. Although 25 days out of 30, the pain caused by these diagnoses made my life hell. On this slide, you will see what my medical records look like and what they looked at after 2 months. It is clearly seen how the indicators of the tests of the reproductive system decreased significantly by applying only the aromatherapy method. During these 2 months, I intensively used various protocols with the help of essential oils, and I managed to balance myself and start my new journey. And also, in the meantime, I had reduced symptoms in the digestive system as well, which increased my level of desire and knowledge. How did I discover the method? Facebook was my ultimate ally. It restored the chance through a random article showing me what the benefits of oils were in the case of endometriosis. This is how my oily experience began. So, what are essential oils? They are uh, volatile, pure liquids extracted from plants, seeds, bark, leaves, stems, flower, fruits, and they're obtained through a rigorous process of distillation or cold pressing. What is a drop of essential oil? One drop of essential oils means 40 million trillion natural chemicals molecules. So one drop of essential oil has enough molecules to cover all the cells of your body. And you may also wonder, how fast does it work? Well, since they are volatile molecules and they are absorbed quickly in the tissues, it's 22 seconds so that these volatile molecules reach the brain, 2 minutes to find them in the bloodstream. And in about 20 minutes, they already reach all the cells of the body. After 2 hours, there's a complete metabolization and they leave the body. My pains were significantly reduced, and in March 2022, I went through an event with a strong emotional impact. While I was studying, I was discriminated against and wronged due to the fact that my voice was not to the liking of others. And because of this, I didn't deserve to study. I didn't deserve to be where I was. Emotional abuse and extremely high energy consumption. And because I repressed my emotions, I shut up, I was silent, and I didn't allow myself to express myself and defend myself. At that moment, the injustice pressed all the buttons of emotional conflicts, and they triggered the FOP symptoms in the neck, hip, knee area. They were affected by inflammation, excessive pain. I felt panic. I had difficulty swallowing, insomnia, difficulty walking, and many other symptoms that I'm sure you're familiar with. Effectively, I was living in fear. I didn't know what was happening, why it was happening, how it was happening. I was disconnected, and I entered a corridor of suffering that I had already known for years. Only this time, I refused to walk down it. With the light of science, I decided to open the doors, to let the light in. I said that if I had amazing results in the past, this time I want them to make them downright effective in FOP. And I didn't just rely on the power of essential oils. I brought into the equation coaching techniques to release negative emotions, two methods that I have studied with great interest for the last 3 years. So, to begin with, I identified the affected area, which today shows the nature and the flavor of the conflict. Of course, after we find the story, the experience. In my case, it was the neck and the intellectual devalorization. My performance was questioned, that I was not fit because of my voice. Shoulder devaluation of the type that I'm no longer able to impose myself. I was not allowed to express myself. The knee, sports, performance devaluation. No one kneels me. No one humiliates me. I will stand for justice. That's how coaching and emotion release techniques came into play. To begin with, in what follows, I ask myself the right questions. How do I live my story? What do I feel? What are my beliefs? So that I could discover the answers and the emotional content. The process of self knowledge is deep, intimate, revealing. It brings with itself clarity, exiting the comfort zone, sincerity, attention, and compassion towards yourself. Probably the most difficult question that I ask myself is, what do I want to do with this suffering? Because I knew that unresolved, rejected suffering creates chemical compounds that linger in the body and affect tissues and organs. And if you don't release them, they will start building imbalances, inflammations, and consequences will appear. And I'm not just saying it, it's scientifically proven. And there are countless books by established authors: Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Bradley Nelson, and many others who certify the fact that emotions create chemical compounds that often affect the body. In the case of FOP, inflammation and ossification occur, both as a result of emotional conflicts, whether conscious or not, and as a result of physical trauma. So I wonder, when you experience stressful events, what internal dialogue do you have with yourself? What attitudes do you approach? What emotional cocktail do you feel? And how do you make decisions to act to improve the symptoms? I am aware that is not an easy thing. Personally, it was extremely, but extremely difficult to pay attention to all the details, to see what are the moments that generate change and understand my emotion, listen to them, add new habits, and continue to be present in a state of presence. Example: two recent methods that I apply for the state of presence is meditation and connecting with nature. The fastest method to the state of presence is to start paying attention to your breath, to the way the breath feels. And I'm curious, What other methods do you use? I will ask you to write me a message. I confess I do what I can to put the pieces of the puzzle together to understand the image as a whole, to see the details that are necessary to build a more beautiful, more vital, and active life. Consequently, I changed my perspective on the event, on the emotional impact. I released the negative emotions of fear, anger, guilt, shame. I discovered the limiting beliefs that were hindering my healing process. For example, is I'm not good enough because of my voice. And I moved to I am good enough. I perform every day with my different and unique voice. Thus, I expanded the teachings that supported me to look at events with detachment. I can accept that some people may not resonate with my voice. And perhaps the most important lesson was to learn that where respect is not there, it's necessary to get up and leave. Thus, we arrive at the application of essential oils, the personalized choice for specific emotions and the needs that we experience. That's why when I talk about holistic, about the whole, I'm not talking about a standard recipe. I'm talking about uniqueness because we are unique in our own way. We feel different, even if we are emotionally similar. The intensity and duration differ. So, oils create a good environment for healing. But they're not going to do the job 100% for me or instead of me or you unless we work with our emotions. My success is due to my perseverance to apply these three methods in the FOP challenge with essential oil, oils, coaching, and releasing negative emotions created holistic health. This process was intensive. I used different protocols, techniques, methods, affirmations, intentions, all that were personalized. I would like to underline that inflammations have been reduced completely, and there were no other ossification consequence on the affected areas by my symptoms. I used 80% doTERRA Europe range. That means about 90 oils. I want to manage pain, to tell you about some oils that can calm and regenerate through reducing pain and inflammation. Consequently, Smyrn, for example, Mirth, are the strongest in the doTERRA range. Mirth is the king of oils due to its versatility. Frankincense is important because it actions everywhere, and Roseum is one of the most important essential oil. It has a vibration of 320 megahertz, 4 times bigger than a perfectly healthy body. That's why it has an important role in regeneration. The range of oils that work as anti-inflammatory, calming, relaxing effects that support the bone system are triple E, Siberian fir, mint, and lavender. It's important the emotional impact. For example, passion that promotes enthusiasm for life, motivation, mo- motivate for courage and motivation, and serum for joy and optimism. and for acceptance and forgiving ourselves and of the others. Peace that promotes calmness and easy expression, and for inspiration and calm. How did I use them? Well, I use them aromatically through inhalation and diffusion through a diffusion machine on the body, on the skin, through massages, and internally through induration, through digesting it through vegetable capsules, or thanks to a spoonful of honey. I would like to confess that transforming pain to power is possible using these essential oils and having a proactive approach when managing FOP, supporting the body and creating a new life perspective in order to enjoy research that bring us closer to treatment, to blocking FOP. We have a duty not only to ourselves, but also to the FOP team that have been studying and have been dedicating their efforts to finding a cure. Therefore, I encourage you to make wise choices, to allow yourself to get inspiration, to live a painless life full of vitality. Remember that you have the power to rewrite the story of your life. Look at the examples of those who managed to change their life around. Believe in yourself, in your potential, because you have, and you have it, and it's infinite. Therefore, thank you for your attention, and I'm available for any sort of questions.
Okay. That concludes the presentation portion, but I know that some of you had completed the survey that Elena had shared. So I want to give her a few minutes to share any feedback she has after the survey and, of course, answer questions from everyone. So does anyone have questions for Elena at this time? Or Elena, do you want to dive into your survey results?
That's fine. I'm waiting to see if anybody wants a concrete answer to some questions. I'm here for anybody who wants to ask questions. And thank you very much, Hope.
Of course, and I apologize again for the audio mishap at the beginning. I did get one question from someone who had to leave early. She wasn't able to stay for the whole session, but she sent me a message privately and was asking about, what was your process to find safe oil, especially she was meeting with someone who had spoken to her about ingesting or swallowing oils, and that it's really important to consult with a certified naturopathic doctor. So how did you go about sort of addressing the safety issues around using essential oils, especially if you were consuming them in the tablets?
Of course, this is a personalized, customized process, and you need to recommend oils depending on each person's state of health and depending on the way how their body can process the oils. We always start with a small dose and then we increase the dose with every time interval. So as time goes by, we increase the dose. Of course, if we see an improvement or we need an improvement, we make changes to see what we can do to make things better. We always select oils depending on the person's story, condition, symptoms, and the emotions felt by the person at that moment.
And if it was, we talked at the beginning about alternative medicine versus complementary medicine. And so if someone is using this as a complementary approach in conjunction with other medications, I know sometimes there can be interactions between prescription drugs and other things. So making sure that you're obviously speaking with a professional who can help address any issues.
Yes, of course. Anytime before I start any process, I ask that person whether they have any other medicine prescribed, so that I know whether they can ingest those oils or just take them by aromatherapy, by diffusion, because there are several options to breathe them, to apply them on the skin by support oil, in order to protect the skin, for more sensitive skin particularly. And there is also the third option, to diffuse it, but if you take other medicine.
That is great. Thank you, Elena. So yeah, definitely finding someone like Elena, although I know you're a ways away in Romania, but finding a professional locally who can help with those decisions.